I'm here at Veerville-Samer. We're going to have a look at the real life location of Saving Private Ryan. As you can expect, the Omaha beach scene was the most challenging sequence in the entire movie, so it needed to look and feel right. Of course, the original location in France are now protected historical landmarks, and filming there is highly prohibited. So associate producer Kevin Delanoy and his location manager visited several beaches in the UK, but the British government had no interest in helping out, so Tom Sanders moved his location to Balnaskar Beach in Ireland. Back on the beach, a huge trench system was constructed with bomb craters and huge bunkers. These bunkers were made from wood and plaster, and on the actual beach 5 on the tank obstacles called hedgehogs were placed. Closer to the sea, 50 wooden poles with telemines attached to them. So after I did the Saving Private Ryan video, which was immensely well received and my most watched video on my channel, I did a smaller follow-up video in how the MG42 was mounted on top of the powerful 18mm gun, which was mildly popular. These guns were especially rare to be found on the Normandy beaches, and in today's video I want to have a look at these types of bunkers again and reconstruct the real Saving Private Ryan bunker in its entirety and how it would look back in 44, because I find this position to be really fascinating, and it did not look like anything we would see in the movie, but just in the way the Germans have tried to camouflage some of the bunkers just fascinates me, and this sort of camouflage was a rarity on the D-Day landing beaches. Today, most of all the bunkers on Darwin 72 and 73 are still there. The most prominent bunkers on the beach defending the D1 exit would have been the main objectives and obstacles we see in the movie Saving Private Ryan. Although they were heavily embellished as gigantic Schnabelstand bunkers in the movie. The real thing was much more deadly. But if you want to know more about the inaccuracies of the movie, have a look at my Saving Private Ryan video here on this channel. Since Saving Private Ryan, the Schnabelstand bunkers would be copied in every single set of media that would come after it. The movie had such a gigantic impact that the bunker seen in the opening scene became a false truth in how the location would have looked in 44. But in reality, these bunkers were nowhere to be found on the actual beaches of Normandy. The bunkers we see in the movie were a upscaled version of the German Schnabelstand. These types of bunkers would have housed telemeters for range finding. The Germans also mostly opted to place a machine gun nest sideways and give the machine gun crew a field of fire by looking down the length of the beach. And they would have never fired directly onto the beach from a gigantic bunker. So why did they use these sort of bunkers in the movie? Now, this has everything to do with dramatic effect. Spielberg said in an interview that he opted to replace sound military tactics and strict historical accuracy for dramatic effect. And that's what these bunkers are. A big overblown set piece for dramatic effect. And they really pulled it off to make the opening scene the most realistic depiction of war ever put to film. And I don't think it would have worked as well if they used the historically accurate bunkers, which were much better camouflaged than we see in the movie. The movie gave the audience a clear point and a clear goal to aim for. It would have been much harder for the audience to get sucked into the scene if there wasn't a clear object for the audience to focus on. So how well were these bunkers concealed? Now, this well. They were literally made into the cliffs and exceptionally hard to pinpoint. And the exit in real life is a big paved road, just like it was in 44. And even though dark green and the exit is mentioned several times in the movie,
to the shore. We got no DD tanks on the beach. Dog 1 is not open. that cut on the right, or is it one on the left?
No. Beerville is to the west of us. This is Dog 1. Dog 1, exit! Right here! Our business! Hurricane, Sugar Charlie 3. Say again, Dog 1 is open.
You actually never really see it. The only thing we see is a small ditch leading up to a bunker, which was nothing like it would have been in real life. But in 44 the German defenses were extremely well done here, and by mid-morning the Germans were actually winning the battle. The beach was getting bogged up, and the American command even gave the order to stop the landing. The German defense was done so well that the American soldiers that did make it off the beach were shot in the back, because one German bunker was made to shoot and aim into the D1 exit. But because of the just overwhelming manpower poured onto the beach, and the Germans basically running out of ammo and having no reinforcements, they were forced to retreat. Today, Veerville-sur-Mer is just a quiet little beach town, just like it was in the 30s. It had hotels, casinos and beach houses. After the surrender of France, the Germans started with their Atlantic Wall, and they integrated defensive positions in and along the buildings, and in 44 the road leading off the beach on the D1 exit would have had several buildings still alongside it, and the biggest one was the Hotel Casino de Piprel. The second hotel of course now being half demolished, housing the bunker. The two significant bunkers on dark green were part of the WN-72 and 73 positions. One bunker would have contained a 7.5 cm anti-tank gun and the other a PaK-43. And you can still see the 88 in the bunker today. It's actually astonishing that the gun survived the metal scrappers. The same goes for another PaK-43 that's now on display at the Omaha Memorial Museum, just down the road. This is also a D-Day survivor, which was abandoned on Omaha Beach, not far from this position. During the landings there were a few bunkers that had the rare PaK-43. Popular belief would like you to think there was an 88mm around every single corner, but most of the bunkers were equipped with this little guy, the 5cm KWK. In reality there were only a handful of PaK-43s scattered on Omaha and Utah Beach. But if you want to know more, I did an entire video about the R667 bunkers fitted with the PaK-43s, have a look in the description below. Another rarity of this position is that all the guns had these mystery brackets attached to them. This was only done on this position, but I will be coming back to this in a short while. The main bunker would have been built under a hotel building, leaving some of the building up as camouflage, and today the bunker is still being used as a foundation, being not for a facade of a hotel building, but for the National Guard Memorial. It has been totally cleaned up and we can see nothing of the hotel anymore. The second bunker in the back is mostly used as a garage and a generator room for the food stand that provides thirsty beachgoers with their cold beverage. But this bunker does show that it was camouflaged at one point and still has some old stones attached to the side, which I could not really film up close because the stand was blocking the way, but you can see it here for a short while. But let's head out and have a look in how this site would have looked in 44. And like you could guess, the difference with the movie and the real location is pretty astronomical. So let's reconstruct these bunkers. The R667 bunker would have been constructed inside the shell of the hotel building. What we know from these after the battle pictures is that there was a blockade wall, a rare stepped anti-flanking wall, and the front and side of the bunker would have had the facade from the hotel building, with parts of the balcony left that looked out over the beach. The construction of the main bunker would have pretty much looked something like this, starting with the removal of the top floors of the hotel, placing the blockade wall that would have run all the way to the hill, removing half of the first and second floors, leaving the steel beams of the building to integrate that into the construction of the new bunker, placing a rare stepped anti-flanking wall to the side and dressing that up with stones, and the same goes for the blockade wall. They then move the gun inside and placing a giant blast wall at the back of the bunker, which is also a rarity for these types of bunkers. They would have placed a MG position into the blockade wall next to the bunker. They would also have added MG brackets to the gun barrel of this 88 and 7.5 in the bunker in the back. Little is known of these brackets, but the main idea was that the crew could fire a tracer round. If the tracer round hits the target, the crew could fire the main gun. This was a simple way to conserve ammunition. But let's get back to the camouflage job. To actually top it off, the Germans would have reused more stones from the hotel to build up fake walls on top of the second floor and the bunker, adding fake doors and windows where needed. It's not known if the position was actually finished, and maybe the idea was to add a fake roof later on. The bunker in the back would have been a modified Doppelschartenstand. It would of course have anti-flanking walls, which would be later on camouflaged with stones and sand. It would have had a 7.5 cm anti-tank gun, which could fire either onto the right or left side of the full length of the beach. They actually designed a slit into the bunker wall so that the barrel of the gun actually could swivel through 360 degrees. In the back, the bunker would have been extended to house an FT-17 turret all the way on top, which would have had its own flanking wall. It would also have had a trench system to the back and an MG position built into the tank wall to the right. If we look on the other side, we can see that the tank wall and flanking wall were dressed up with stones and the top of the bunker was covered with sand. So the entire bunker would have been much more hidden into the landscape. But that's pretty much it for this video. If you look onto this complete story, we still have to learn a lot about this strongpoint, and the mere lack of information sort of reflects the chaos this battle was, because it's unknown what happened to these bunkers and how they were eventually destroyed. We can look at the evidence today, but that's pretty much it, and a lot of it is guesswork. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of these illustrations, let me know in the comments below. I was actually planning on doing a new YouTube channel where I only focus on animating these German strong points and completely recreating them in Photoshop and After Effects. I want to thank the Atlantic Wall site and Michael Ackerman and the World War II TV podcast for the information I got for this video. I would recommend looking them up. If you want to support the channel, join me on Patreon or become a channel member. I will see you in the next one.